because I got a story for you. Hello. I've got a story for you. I have a story for you. I want to tell you this story about this one time when I worked out of town. Was living at the hotel. There was a nice young man that I met. A friendly guy. Who made the mistake of selling us some bad drugs one time. And I'd like to share the story because we illuminated him. We illuminated him on how to do it the right way. It seemed to be the thing to do. Is it always the thing to do? Maybe not. I'm sure there's 100 other things that would have been better to do than this. But this is what happened. And I will tell you the story. So, across from where my little hotel room was, there was a guy named Shane. Shane was a driller. He drilled for oil on a mobile rig of some sort. And him and his guys were working down there in that same town as us. It's a nice little town on the border of Texas and Oklahoma. And there was a guy, the young man, that sold us some bad drugs. And I don't know what it was, but it wasn't what I wanted. And me and Shane got together. We got a hatchet, a pistol, ski mask, and we captured him. We captured this guy, and we wanted to explain to him the proper way to sell drugs if he was going to choose to do it. We explained to him that the substance that he did not sell has qualities that he would need to familiarize himself with. We did it under the guise of Nigga B. Jones, because niggas be jonesing. We created a drug dealer out of him. We showed him the right way to do it. We taunted him. We taunted him. We had fun with it. We didn't hurt him, but we scared the shit out of him in the right way. That didn't allow us to get fucking attacked, murdered, or whatever. Because the theory was, if he pulled this shit on the wrong person, he would fucking die. And he probably would have. So, rather than leaving him to his devices to die, selling fish food for drugs instead of the actual drugs, we just kidnapped him, terrified him for a while, and then showed him the proper way with our own drugs that we were able to get. Now, I know what you may be thinking. That sounds a little extreme. It doesn't sound like a real story at all. Oh, it is. It's a real story. It happened. There were other exploits that happened there. There was a guy. So, we were going to work. We get up in the morning and go to work. Except, most critical part. Me and Shane found a source of drugs. Because, when the cat's away, the mice got to play. So we found a very good source of drugs. Real good. Because right across the street from the hotel was a liquor store. And for some reason, I don't know how, I don't know who got the password, but we were able to get the liquor store guy to sell us drugs. And do you know what? His drugs were a little more expensive, but they were the best a man could get. Now we took some. There was a new guy that was working for someone else that moved in, and Shane had made friends with him. So we went over there to load up on these drugs that we had got. We were going to get zooted the fuck out. And we did. We put some out. We consumed. But we noticed something. Something didn't seem right with our new fella. Something wasn't right at all. He seemed a little off. I know what you're thinking. How do you know if he could even tolerate such substances? I didn't. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a biologist. What the fuck do I know? All I know is what's good for me could possibly be good for you, if not deadly. So, after a night of not sleep, it was time to go to work. And we were hearing this commotion. And I looked outside, and I was seeing the guy walk outside, go to his car, talking to people that weren't there. He jumped up on the roof. He came back down. So I went back into the room, and my phone rang. And it was Shane. And Shane was asking me, he's like, hey, I was like, I know what you're going to ask me. You're going to ask me, did I give that guy some more drugs? Well, the answer is no. You did this to him. You did this. And I hung up. Now, it's getting closer to time to leave. So I went ahead and went outside and I engaged him because I wanted to get a feel of what was going on. And he had lost his mind. He told me something. He's like, come over here. He's like, you see out there? You see that leopard? I was like, yeah, I do. That's my leopard. And then he just was going off, sort of a spurting of words. If you've ever heard it, you understand. He asked me, did I want a cigarette? And I said, sure. And he jumped back up on the roof, ran up to the top, grabbed a cigarette, and then he ran back down, and he dropped down and he handed me a cigarette, of which I smoked. And I watched this behavior for a little longer before it was time to leave. Boy, we done it. We had done it. This guy was gone. He was gone. Now, we went to work. We worked the day. We got home. When we got home, I see him come out of the office of the Indians that owned the hotel, and he was yelling at the lady. The lady was yelling at him. He was yelling at the lady. Then he came up to me, and he's like in his boxers and without a shirt. He's just walking around, and he asked me, he's like, did my dad send you the key to the truck? And I'm like, he said it'll be there right away. Not yet. Obviously, I can't end that story like that. The screen recorder just stopped and cut it out, so I wanted to see where it ended. I was just going to put it through, but I'm not going to do that. I got to finish the story. So the next part of the guy. So the next thing we know, cops are coming to the place. They extract this gentleman from his room. We never saw him again. He went to see the wizard. He never came back. So maybe not always share drugs with somebody you just met. Life lesson. Life lesson learned. Another thing that happened was I had a girlfriend, a Romanian girl that I met from some other friends. And this Romanian woman, girl, a little younger than me, very fucking hot. And she liked to stay in the room with me through the night. And we had a lot of sex in the bathroom. But due to the stacking of rooms, you've got to have a roommate with you. So my poor roommate, he would be laying there quietly in the darkness like us, except I would be in my bed getting this ass. And it drove him crazy. He tried to hit on the girl when I walked out to go get a soda or something. He was trying to have sex with her, and she told on him. And he turned bright red, and he felt so bad. But it didn't bother me because she wasn't going to mess with him. We had such a good friendship. In fact, I took her and introduced her to N.B. Jones, who now had got his shit together and could be trusted to care for this hot Romanian girl, at least for the period of time necessary, because our hotel people, they didn't like me letting her stay in there and be there when I got home to have sex with. For some reason, that was frowned upon. And they told me that she had to leave. So I took her to N.B. Jones, and she hung out with them. They lived in some apartments next door. We just met him by chance, and kidnapped him and all, and reforged the whole relationship that we had with this gentleman. I'd like to think we saved his life. If not, put him on a path to prison. I guess death is better than that, I guess. I mean, prison's better than death. So, I didn't get to have all the time I'd wanted with Miss Romania. But it was great. It was great while it lasted. Another time I went down to the river and I took my stuff. You see, I wasn't just a man whore. I was experiencing a broken marriage situation. My wife sort of wasn't being a wife anymore. Just being sort of that where you're still married, but it's like the worst possible situation you can have with somebody. And I had, due to this fact, placed some of my items like my wedding ring and some other stuff in this tree at the river. And I went down there one time when I left them there. I was going through along the edge of the river with some machetes, cutting my way through. And all of a sudden my machetes disappeared. My phone disappeared. My wallet, they were all gone. And I encountered a spirit, a puckwedgie, who got onto my ass for not going through and just pushing the stuff aside, for going through and just chopping my way through, which I never did again. He showed me said something about his children, that if I were to do that, I could be harming his children. I never saw it. I never saw the creature. It spoke to me telepathically, and it showed me the other side of the river. It made it turn where I could see through the earth, and I could see veins of metal, and he said that he ate the metal, that was their food. And then all my stuff reappeared on a patch of grass, and that was it. One other time I went down there, I was swimming in the river with the same machetes, and because I'd like to go on the weekend sometimes. On the other side of the river, the Oklahoma side, there was a cattleman, and he was on a four-wheeler, and he was looking at me all crazy. So I went over there and introduced myself, and he slowly kept approaching me. And I'm in the river, and he's got a shotgun pointed at me, and asked him what he had going on. What was the problem? Somebody's stealing my cattle. I'm like, well, I'm in the river. I'm swimming. I ain't stealing nobody's cattle. I was raised right, so at least I introduced myself, and then I just left him alone because obviously he was disgruntled and not of a very good demeanor. I didn't have any cattle in the river with me. What the fuck's wrong with you, idiot? No, mind you. No, you don't. What the hell are you doing? I'm going to start getting loud because I'm recording and talking. She would get behind me and meow, 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 meow. Which I don't have a place for it in this part of the video. So when I got up to the bank of the river and was getting out, I noticed that there was two that town's police officers pulled there, standing waiting for me. So I took my machetes I had, I put them like this, and I release and let them fall. Put my hands up, and they weren't going to arrest me. They didn't really have a reason to. They were laughing. They thought it was funny. I told them the story, just as I just told you, and they had a DPS who they brought, and it ultimately came down to I had left a bag on the river because I went to go with my coworker down there to smoke some fake weed. And when he went through the bag, he found the fake weed, and he arrested me because I didn't tell him I smoked it. I pled the fifth. So I had 3 nights to spend in jail. Ma'am, go. I'm not, no invitation. Here, let me. The other day she started, when I was focusing in and continuing to make my video, she got underneath the table and was like touching my leg and doing weird shit, which I really don't appreciate that fully. It doesn't bother me maybe the first day, the second day, but by day 3 and 4, I'm pretty much done with it. I don't really have any more patience or whatever. It's just too fucking annoying hearing it again and 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 again. I don't have the sufficient spiritual wisdom to master that yet. But anywho, I was able to be released in the middle of the night, walk barefooted down the street, all the way down the highway, down the real far, to make it back to the hotel to get my boss awake, myself back hired, and back into my room. And the next day I went and got my car, which they did not tow, and I appreciated that. And then I left this place. This was the last place I had a sheet metal job, but I had the spirit tell me that I needed to leave or I was going to die. So I went and retrieved my items from the river. And when I got back to the room to get to the rest of my stuff, there was like 1,000 lightning strikes at that place on the river. Like, it was on the news. They were showing, look at all this lightning. It was like insane how much lightning hit at that spot I had just been at. And I drove back to Houston, never to have a formal career again. And then more adventures ensued after that. But this is the story of Nigga B. Jones, because niggas be jonesing.